Hi, and welcome to episode 74 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I'm Wren.
And I'm River.
And this week we are going to talk a little bit about Skinwalkers. There are different versions of Skinwalker legends from different cultures, and some of them are really interesting. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah, we want to make sure that we don't come across as trying to be representative of what different cultures believe, because we are not part of all those different cultures. So we certainly don't mean to be offensive. We just love talking about this stuff and seeing what each other thinks about this kind of stuff. This is what started this podcast.
Yeah, I like to think that we're not trying to appropriate or whatever. We're just trying to educate. And I mean, you might think, you're
and talk.
You're not of the culture, so how are you trying to educate? But anyone can educate themselves on anything. You don't have to be a specific culture to be able to educate yourself on said culture. It's not appropriation if you don't go out. And now if I went out and said I'm blah 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 and I'm not, that's not right.
I'm Navajo and I know this stuff.
No. I'm not saying I know anything. Yeah. I'm just saying we like to talk about this. This is something we've talked about a couple times, but we haven't actually delved into it. So that's what I'm really excited about today.
Yeah, it was really funny because as I was doing the research, I'm like, oh my goodness, this should have been one of our After Dark episodes. Some of this stuff is really dark, very interesting.
Yeah.
But first things first, what are we drinking?
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So how can you forget? This one, y'all, is very dangerous. I'm calling it the Bubbling Bruja, and it is a lovely pink drink. February seems to have been my pink drink season. And it's kind of reminiscent of Valentine's Day, which was earlier this month. It's chilly, but it's lovely, even though it's in December. It has gin. I made a strawberry puree out of fresh strawberries and sugar and ice. I used infused cucumber lime water. I actually just bought a Smart Water that had cucumber and lime flavors because I thought those flavors would go really well with the strawberries. You can add simple syrup. I didn't because I don't like mine sweet, but you do like yours sweet. And then lime juice or lemon juice, whichever. And then sparkling wine, which, that's one of my favorite things. And I love it. And I did use lime instead of lemon, and I didn't use the simple syrup. Actually, if you want to use a frozen strawberry puree, some of those come with sugar in them. So it might not be that you need to add sugar. Some of them are really bitter. I had my husband go and buy groceries for this because I really wanted to do this tonight for this one. And so he bought me fresh strawberries, and they're lovely. So yeah, I am really worried I'm going to drink this really fast during this episode and may have to go make another one. But it's very dangerous because I don't taste the alcohol.
Yeah.
And I used that Empress gin that we did on TikTok. And so it's pinkish, bluish hue. It's very cool.
I was going to say you could probably swap what I did, swap the sparkling brute for a Moscato for that extra sweet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm not a big Moscato fan, and yet that's one of your favorites.
Love Moscato. I found a new Moscato. I can't remember the brain.
Your brain.
I can't remember the brain off the top of my brand.
There you go.
I can't remember the brand off the top of my head, but it's like a blue bottle, and I think actually my husband discovered it first. He was like, oh, I found this, I went shopping, found this. You should give it a try. It looked good. I saw it on TikTok. I was like, okay, it's amazing.
That's amazing. Yeah, our husbands are very, very supportive of us, which is wonderful. Okay, so what is a skinwalker? And the exact origins of the skinwalker Skinwalker legend are ambiguous, but they are generally said to have been evil witches with the ability to change their shape or take possession of animals and other people. These abilities are alluded to in the Navajo phrase, and I'm sorry for mispronouncing this, Ye Nadlushi, which I am saying with an accent from, French or something, because that's the language I took. But it means with it, he goes on all fours.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know if you had this, but while I was doing some research, did you find anything on not saying Skinwalker?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not in detail, so maybe you can
I don't have anything in detail. Well, kind of.
It's like he who shall not be named, where you don't want to say Voldemort. It's this, you end up bringing their attention to you.
Yeah. They know that you're talking about them, so yeah. And that's why in some cultures people only call it or it.
Yeah. That's very cool. A Wren fact. So, according to some traditions, Skinwalkers were once actual healers and medicine men who were corrupted by their own power and turned evil in modern times. But in modern times, comparisons are actually made to things like the Sith Lords of Star Wars, the Star Wars universe. That just shows my nerdinism. It has also been said that social transgressions and breaking of tribal taboos can cause someone to become a skinwalker, which I've got a whole section on ideas on how you become a skinwalker. The skinwalker is a legendary creature. These are all definitions that I found, so they're all a little bit different. Usually a witch in certain Native American cultures, and that is somewhat analogous to the European werewolf. Like the werewolf, it is a shapeshifter, human at times, and at other times taking on the aspect of an animal, usually at night. And because of this connection with other animals and shapeshifting, skinwalkers are often lumped in with all other shapeshifters like werewolves and that kind of thing, but they are a totally different legend. In its animal form, a skinwalker can be virtually anything, including a wolf, coyote, fox, bear, owl, or crow. Although skinwalkers may have a favorite form that they customarily use, they have the power to become anything they wish. And later on, I talk about a little bit of a distinction, and it might depend on how powerful of a skinwalker you are as to what you can turn into.
Okay.
Did you know, by the way, speaking of coyotes, that coyotes mate for life? Aww. And so I was worried. I was thinking, okay, so does that mean if you have two skinwalkers and they use the skins of mated coyotes, are they going to be mated skinwalkers when they're in the form of the coyotes? I've dumbfounded her. I have totally dumbfounded her. The look on her face.
My mouth hung open for a second.
River thinks of at 3:00 in the morning when she should be sleeping.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I wonder if they're mated skinwalkers. Anyway, totally different thing. So while the creature is known mainly from Navajo folklore, analogies exist in the history of other tribes as well. Another definition: a skinwalker is a human who has gained his or her powers through witchcraft. They are frightening, dangerous, and difficult to kill. Witches earn their power through violating a taboo and generally use it to harm others, so they are considered a sort of monster. In its animal form, a skinwalker is very fast and impossible to catch. It sometimes transforms itself into animals simply for the purpose of traversing great distances quickly. And these creatures might also transform in order to wreak havoc on others, as their identity is hidden and they'll be able to escape quickly if necessary. But both humans and animals are supposed to be able to easily tell a skinwalker from a real animal because it doesn't move completely naturally in its animal form.
Yeah, like it can quote unquote look like an animal, but it can't fully be that animal. So
it's kind of like the AI that we have. You can make on a computer game, you can generate a figure that looks almost human.
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not quite right.
You just looking at it know that it's not. And that's the same with this, where you can look at it and there's just something off about it. And you're like, no, like that's not normal behavior of whatever the animal is.
Yeah. A skinwalker typically wears the pelt of an animal that he or she will transform into, usually with no other clothing. And because of this association with such creatures, wild animal hides are taboo in Navajo culture and rarely seen, which I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I found on this one particular website. A skinwalker can only be defeated if one can discover his or her human identity. And this is possible if it is tracked back to his or her home, or in some stories, if one is wounded and that same injury is later noted on a human.
Okay.
A skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal.
Okay.
Which the possession thing was a different part of this one.
I have a question.
Okay.
So when you say they typically wear the pelts of an animal, do they kill the animal and then wear their skin, or do they just have the ability to poof, like magically, like, probably painfully grow a new skin?
I couldn't find an answer to that question. Well, part of what I talk about later when you try to track them, it does talk about how when they change, they don't change cleanly. So that there are patches of fur and stuff left. You just sneezed. Bless you.
Yeah, I muted so that y'all didn't have to endure my...
The skinwalker is just one type of several Navajo witches that are considered dangerous, but I think the skinwalker is supposed to be their most volatile and dangerous of the witches that they talk about. For the Navajo people, witchcraft is just another part of their spirituality. I mean, not necessarily in the word, in the way I'm talking about witchcraft, because I think they do believe witches are bad, but they have medicine men and wise women and
it's a different type
of magic, I guess.
Yeah. It's what,
So it's another part of their spirituality, just one of the ways of their lives. And as such, it's been a long part of their culture, history, and traditions. It says witches exist alongside humans and are not supernatural creatures in and of themselves. They are, you aren't necessarily, I haven't read anything that says you can be born as one. You're a human, and basically you make the choice, which I'll get into later, to become a skinwalker. The Navajo believe that there are places where the powers of both good and evil are present, and that those powers can be harnessed for either good or evil. And that, which is kind of like witches in general, I think that the energy is there, but the energy isn't really good or evil. It's the user that's good or evil, or how they use it. Medicine men utilize these powers to heal and aid members of their communities, while those who practice Navajo witchcraft seek to direct the spiritual forces to cause harm or misfortune to others. So that's, even though medicine men are magical as well, they are the quote good, trying to help their community, whereas the skinwalkers are wanting to use that magic for harm, to hurt others or to the misfortune of others. This type of Navajo witchcraft is said to be known as the witchery way. And it says it uses human corpses in various ways, as such as tools from the bones, which I did an episode on bone magic, and the connotations that are used to curse, harm, or kill intended victims, which we should probably, in our Baneful Magic episode on the After Dark series that we do, that may be something to bring up in that one. The knowledge of these powers is passed down from the elders through the generations. So supposedly it's also a secret sect of witches, or one of the definitions is that it's a secret sect, mostly men, although there are some female, who creep out into the night and take the form of swift moving animals like the wolf or the coyote. They are said to gather in foreboding places to work dark magic against their victims and engage in various taboo rituals of incest, corpse defilement, and sibling murder.
Mm-hmm.
There are other, yeah.
So so based on our information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're getting it off of like, hopefully credible sites and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but with how history has been lost with Native people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there's still a lot of history there, but a lot has been lost, right?
Well, and they also don't share that with outsiders either. So there may be information that's not lost. We just don't know.
We just don't know. And some of this could also be incorrect.
Oh, yes. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you say like corpse defilement and sibling murder and incest, my brain is instantly triggered to like what the Englishmen tried to paint a picture of how natives actually were.
Right.
And so I have a hard time picking between like what to believe and what not to. Like I understand that this is a real belief of the Native people.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly could believe it, that skinwalkers are a thing.
I believe it's a thing too.
But then I want to also understand where the belief is and where it stops based on how Englishmen and invaders wanted to depict them and their beliefs, quote unquote, and how they were quote unquote barbaric,
where it becomes rumor instead of actual legend. I think most legends have a basis in fact. Mm-hmm. And there may be a whole lot of information that we will never know because we are not part of that community.
Definitely.
There are other creatures and cultures that are similar, like the Skinwalker, but aren't the Skinwalker, like the Wendigo. And that one also involves cannibalism, and is not necessarily a voluntary act like skinwalking supposedly is.
Well, isn't Wendigos, you can voluntarily become a Wendigo. Well, but it's also you can also become one involuntarily.
From what I remember of Wendigos, now I read a lot of science fiction and a lot of urban fantasy. And so a lot of my quote knowledge is based on stories that authors have made up and twisted into the stories, which I love the stories. But I know they've done research, but what I remember about the Wendigos, which that's how I pronounce it. There are some people that call it the Wendigos.
Yeah.
I've always called it the Wendigo. That formed, it was men that got trapped in a cave and had no choice but to eat each other in order to survive. And that's where the first Wendigos came from, and that a scratch from a Wendigo will turn you into a Wendigo. Kind of like the werewolf story, that it's some kind of disease that a bite or a scratch will turn you into a werewolf.
But then I could pick that apart scientifically. Wendigos anyways. But I thought like it was like involuntarily, but you could also voluntarily become one.
I guess if you want to go
in that
stand and get scratched by one, you could, but how do you know they're not going to eat you?
I know, but to like become a Wendigo, like starving, feeding on your
dead bodies,
your own species, like blah blah blah.
Yeah. I don't know. So that does bring us to how to become a skinwalker. And there are several theories out there, and there's more than what I've found. But first, the one I found very interesting says that in order to become a skinwalker, he or she must be initiated by that secret society that I was talking about in one of the definitions that I just said. And it requires the evilest of deeds. You have to kill a close family member, most often a sibling. So this is coming back to some of those definitions above that I was talking about. After you've completed this heinous act, killing your sibling or close family member, whoever it might be, the individual then acquires supernatural powers which gives them the ability to shapeshift into animals. Most often, they are seen in the forms of coyotes, wolves, foxes, but there's also cougars, dogs, and bears. They really can take shape of any animal. I've heard birds, ravens, that kind of thing. They then wear the skins of the animal they transform into, hence the name Skinwalker. Sometimes they also wore the animal's skulls or antlers atop their heads, which also brought them additional power. They choose what animal they want to turn into depending on what the ability is that they need for whatever particular task that they're wanting to do. So if they need speed, like it said above, they want to travel really quickly, they would turn maybe into a cheetah who can run 60 miles an hour, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you need strength, you might want to turn into a bear. Endurance, stealth, claws, teeth, whatever it is, you transform into that particular creature based on what it is that your goal is in the transformation time period that you're about to go through.
Okay.
It said, and I think I said that, I might have said this already, that it's considered taboo for the Navajo to wear the pelt of any predatory animal. However, they can wear sheepskin, leather, and buckskin. Because those, I guess if you transform into those, that's not necessarily a predator type creature. And again, I don't know if that's correct or not. Another thought of how you become a skinwalker is that these witches evolved from living their lives as respected healers and spiritual guides, the wise people, who then later chose to use their powers for evil. And although they can be male or female, they're most often male. They walk freely among the tribe during the day and secretly transform under the cover of night. Not. It's not involuntarily like the werewolf curse.
It's not involuntary.
Oh boy. It happens, the werewolf allegedly happens. Wow, I'm struggling. I told you these drinks were dangerous due to bite, scratch, illness theory, that kind of thing. This shifting occurs because the user voluntarily wants to do it.
Okay.
So I found this explanation on Reddit, which was really short and to the point. It says, first, you have to be a Navajo shaman. No one else can become a skinwalker.
Okay.
At least this particular brand of skinwalker in this culture, you have to be a Navajo shaman.
Okay.
Then you have to kill a close relative very personally, which usually means by strangulation or stabbing.
Okay.
Then you have to have sex with the body. Then you have to consume the body with other skinwalkers.
Okay. And
because of this, they are considered the most malevolent beings in Navajo legend, which I would say that sounds pretty bad. And then you have to be invited into the order to be initiated. So skinwalkers, they say, are in covens, or they could be loners, but they have to learn from another skinwalker.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting.
Those
were some of the ways I found that you could. It takes something pretty heinous and voluntary to become a skinwalker.
Okay.
So why? What does a skinwalker do? Why would you want to be a skinwalker? So skinwalkers are also able to take possession of the bodies of human victims if a person locks eyes with them.
Oh.
Yeah. After taking control, the witch can make its victim do and say things that they wouldn't otherwise say.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And then once they're shape-shifted, one way that others could tell that they were not a real animal is that their eyes are different than those of an animal.
Yeah.
Instead, their eyes are still very human. And when lights are shined on them, they turn bright red, as opposed to like with a cat, sometimes it's green or yellow. And then alternatively, when they're in human form, their eyes look more like animals.
Oh. Yeah, I was about to ask, like, when they're human form, do they look more human because they have, like, they were human, like.
Yeah. Yeah. So apparently, I guess it starts to slip in between the two forms once you start to do it.
Well, that's interesting with the red eyes, because I've seen both yellow and red in stories. Okay.
The evil society of witches gather in dark caves or secluded places for several purposes. They might need to initiate new members. They might have like a coven meeting, just like witches do, and plot their activities. Let's plan our March meeting for our Skinwalker activities. Who's taking the minutes? They can harm people from a distance with black magic, and they perform dark ceremonial rites.
Okay.
These ceremonies are similar to other tribal affairs, including dancing, feasts, rituals, sand painting, but were corrupted with dark connotations. So they take all of the normal native ceremonies and turn them dark. They twist them to a dark meaning. The evil doers are said to engage in necrophilia with female corpses, commit cannibalism, incest, and grave robberies. See, this is starting to come up more and more in all the different places that I looked. I'm starting to gather these facts, whether they're facts or not, I don't know, but these tidbits seem to start coming up over and over and over. So I'm beginning to wonder, is this one of the nuggets of truth? During the gatherings, the Skinwalkers shapeshift into their animal forms, or they go about naked, wearing only beaded jewelry and ceremonial paint. The leader of the Skinwalkers is usually an old man who is very powerful and a long-lived Skinwalker.
Okay.
Skinwalkers also have other powers, including reading other people's minds, controlling their thoughts and behavior, causing disease and illness, destroying property, and even death.
I like how destroying property was thrown in there.
Yeah.
Causing disease, illness, destroying property, and even death. Like.
But, I kind of feel like you were talking about how this might be more the non-culture people throwing that kind of thing in there, because that's how witches were treated in the past too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the milk soured on the cow, it must be a witch.
Yeah, I completely believe Skinwalkers. It's just like I believe witches, but you have to think exactly about how our story is and our history, and people still have that like witches are bad stereotype. And so I sit here and I wonder how much of this is quote unquote stereotype based on how events happened. Yeah.
It says that Skinwalkers are also able to take control of creatures of the night, like wolves and owls, and make them do their bidding in addition to other humans. Some are able to call up the spirits of the dead and reanimate the corpses to attack their enemies. And because of this, the natives very rarely in the past, I guess, ventured out alone. I don't know what the common today's beliefs are. Its supernatural powers are uncanny. They have the ability to run super fast, faster than a car. They have the ability to jump high cliffs. They're agile. They're impossible to catch. And they leave tracks that are actually larger than those of the animal that they are shapeshifted into. When they have been seen, they have been described as not quite human, not quite fully animal. They're usually naked, but have been reported. It's been reported having seen creatures wearing tattered shirts or jeans. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. That makes me think of the Incredible Hulk. How when he hulks out, he's left with the rags on him because he has changed shapes. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah. Because if they're supposed to just put on the skin, why would they have
jeans and
tattered shirts on? I don't know.
Unless if they were trying to mimic a human nowadays, and I don't know. And how long do they live?
Yeah, I didn't find anything on that.
So
are they immortal? Because one of the definitions was that they're humans. They're not supernatural creatures in and of themselves. They just gain these supernatural powers. So I'm assuming they live the life of a human, although, they said the leader's usually really old one. So how old is really old?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because I know we have stories of just people seeing them today. And so it makes me wonder if there are still, like, if it is a Navajo shaman, you know, quote unquote, turning bad. How many do we still have of Navajo shamans turning bad nowadays, you know? And then especially since there has been hundreds of years, you know, but I mean, not thousands, you know, hundreds, you know, of years.
But the cultures are struggling to survive. So, like you said, I don't know how many are left because they've been decimated so badly, you know, to have skinwalkers come about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm
okay. The skinwalker kills out of greed, anger, envy, spite, or revenge. It also robs graves for personal wealth and to collect much needed ingredients for use in black magic. These witches live on the unexpired lives of their victims, and they must continually kill or they'll die themselves.
So if they continue to kill, then they'll live forever, essentially.
Maybe so. You know, like vampires, if they don't drink the blood, then they wither away, and you know, they don't always die, but according to lore, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Skinwalkers and other witches have long been blamed for all manner of unexpected struggles and tragedies throughout the years, like sicknesses, droughts, poor crops, sudden deaths, even smaller individual problems such as a windstorm during a dance or alienation of affection by a lover, the death of livestock, the reversal of fortune. All of those could often, both in native legends and in our own history as witches, it was often believed to be the work of a witch. So how can you tell if someone is a skinwalker? I mean, we talked about a little bit about how they just don't look quite right in their animal form. Those who have talked of their encounters with these evil beings describe a number of ways to know if one is near. They make sounds around homes, such as knocking on windows, banging on walls, and scraping noises on the roof. On some occasions, they have been spied peering through the windows. More often, they appear in front of vehicles in hopes of causing a serious accident.
Oh, okay.
If an animal leaves footprints, which then turn into human over time, it's guaranteed that they are a skinwalker.
Okay.
I just saw that happen in some kind of series I was watching. I don't remember what it was, but might have been a movie. And they were trying to, what was it? I can't remember, but the footprints turned from animal to human. And so it was obvious that it was a shapeshifter.
Oh.
Another sign is animal skins left lying around. Skinwalkers also leave a foul stench wherever they go.
Okay, I've heard and read that too.
So I've got a lot of information that this one Redditor posted, and I don't know if this is something you came across or not, but apparently her grandfather is either somehow connected to the Navajo or the Ute natives, or gained the trust. Whether this is true, I don't know. But she said, skinwalkers most often appear as deer. If not a deer, then a coyote. It is only the most skilled skinwalkers that can actually shift into a wolf.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting because, you know, all the generic stuff that we read up above was, the wolves and coyotes and all that.
Yeah, but a lot of stories that I've read are of them as some sort of like black wolf type of animal.
And deer are not predators. So that goes against what the other thing that I was talking about above. So, but this girl's grandfather apparently has inside information. So I don't know. He said to take note of this when walking or moving through the desert. If you ever see a deer, coyote, or other animal following you who clearly doesn't think of you as prey, it is highly likely that they are a skinwalker. Which I thought was interesting because I think skinwalkers would view us all as prey because they're out there to do mischief and evil and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that one was an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Skinwalkers will always follow from the high ground when possible. If an animal, especially a non-predatory one, is following you from a high point, it is likely a skinwalker. The body shift. If you see an animal and the body doesn't follow the movements of the animal properly, it is probably a skinwalker. The most obvious example is the countless stories about deer who turned around, but their legs stayed behind, which I've never heard of those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Often, unless they are at night at the highest level in the skinwalker clan, early skinwalkers will reveal themselves through clumsy shifts.
Okay.
So, you get better at it as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Practice makes perfect.
So, Wren, I think this episode's going a little long. Maybe we should end it here as part 1. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We haven't really done like a part 1, part 2 back to back, so that sounds good.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for listening. You can find us at www.c3witchypodcast.com. There you can find links to just about everything. Our social media, we've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. You can find links to our episodes, our merchandise. We've got really cool t-shirts, insulated wine tumblers, and more. We're also starting to work on our blog a little bit more, so check that out as well.
Yeah, I forgot to blog this week.
I said we were trying.
I know. But if you guys like our podcast, please consider supporting us. We have both Patreon and Buzzsprout subscription. If you subscribe, you get extra goodies. We have brand new episodes out in our series called After Dark.
Definitely.
So far we've talked about sex magic and hexes, with 2 episodes coming out every month. Let us know topics you want us to cover, like dark magic, literally whatever you want.
Yeah, on the darker side.
Yeah.
Thank you for our current supporters. You guys are amazing. We've got patrons and subscribers, both through Patreon and Buzzsprout. We couldn't do this without you. I haven't forgotten about the tote bags for the patrons. I'm still working on those. I'll get those out to you as soon as I can.
Yeah, I think we've kind of reached a max, so it might just be like what do you call it? Like what's the word? You roll the die, and if you get a specific number, then you win the prize. So it might just be like instead of everyone, if you guys are patrons, then you guys get a chance to win fun free goodies and stuff like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Because we've gotten a few patrons and we're so excited.
Definitely.
But then it's like we make the tote bags ourselves. And so we are running behind. So sorry. Yes. But we love everybody and we want to give everybody a fair chance. So if anything, after a certain amount, maybe the patron our last patron, it's the last one to get a tote bag. And then now it's going to be like a raffle. That's that kind of thing.
That sounds good. Mm-hmm. So another way to support us is you can do reviews, like on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen.
Yeah.
That helps amazingly. So please review us, spread the word, and thanks for listening.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back.
Woo!
Until then, stay witchy.
Oh, woo!